How am I going to know when? Many of the architects, engineers, and property owners, construction companies are looking for product certifications to meet certain building codes, or for assurance that the manufacturer has done the proper due diligence in testing and making claims about the products they manufacture. We have stated that BondTAC eco products are non-flammable and do not support combustion. Accordingly, we have tested the BondTAC Eco 1500 top coat. We are in the process of testing the other ones, although we've tested them in our own laboratory to ascertain that they indeed will not support combustion and are non-flammable. But we have determined that the test procedure to be used to determine sustained combustibility of materials would be based on the United Nations Secretary Committee of Experts on Transportation of Dangerous Goods. And that test is the UN TDG test L2 for sustained combustibility, which we had performed by BondTAC Laboratories, who are accredited laboratory for testing combustion, sustained combustibility, and flammability of products. The test procedure is equivalent to the ASTM D4206, as well as the International Organization for Standardization, ISO 9038. We'll examine the BondTAC test results, and the UN test L.2 for combustibility of liquid products requires that the test procedure be carried out in which the liquid product being tested is heated to a temperature of 60 degrees Celsius, 60.5, block temperature of 60.5 degrees Celsius, and then a flame passed over it to see if the product will ignite. If it does not ignite in 60 or 30 seconds, the block is heated again for 60 and 30 seconds at a temperature of 75 degrees Celsius, and a flame is passed over to see if it would ignite at an elevated temperature of 75 Celsius. This is the test that was conducted by BondTAC Laboratories, and they observed no ignition of the BondTAC Eco 1500 and the Eco Top Coat as well, both tested. We asked them to conduct a more severe test just to provide an extra degree of certainty with respect to flammability of the BondTAC. And as you had seen in the videos, we applied a MAP flame of over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit to it with no ignition observed. So we asked BondTAC Laboratories to proceed with additional testing wherein the Eco 1500 as well as the BondTAC Eco Top Coat were tested by heating the products to 95 degrees Celsius and to observe if any ignition or combustion occurred. None did. We then asked them to step up the temperature where the block was heated. The block and the product contained within the block was heated to 110 degrees Celsius, okay, and a flame passed over to determine whether there would be any ignition of the BondTAC material contained within the block, and we passed that test as well. So in fact, the BondTAC eco products exceed all test requirements with respect to ASTM D4206, the ISO 9038 standard, as well as the UN TDG test L2. Another test procedure we conducted was when materials are consumed in a structural fire, and whether they will propagate flame or whether there will be sufficient smoke generated to create obscuration, which could result both in difficulty in exiting a structural fire area, as well as asphyxiation as a result of smoke inhalation. So we performed the tests at two locations. One was at ULC in Toronto, and we have the test results from their procedure ULC S102-07 for both flame propagation and smoke obscuration when tested in a flame tunnel. Here's the graph, and you see that little squiggle on the bottom line, okay, demonstrates the performance. That's actually computer noise. In fact, the panel coated, the cement board panel, 20 foot of cement board panel, when subjected to gas flame jets, did not burn. The BondTAC did not ignite, nor did the flame propagate down the tunnel, and nor was there any observable smoke obscuration seen. We then performed the test and requested a report be issued, and this test was conducted by Thomas Bell Wright International Consultants. They're fire experts, and we have the test report. Here you can see the beginning of the flame tunnel, where 4 feet of flame jets are directed at the surface of the BondTAC Eco 1500. And the test report indicates that there was one coat application on calcium silicate board. The film thickness measured by Thomas Bell Wright was 0.1 to 0.13 millimeters thick, approximately 4 mils. The test is conducted using red oak as a standard. That's the standard used for this test procedure, which is ASTM E84-16, standard test method for surface burning characteristics of building materials. There are 3 classifications in terms of Class A, flame spread index and smoke developed, which is the best category, Class B, and Class C. The test results indicated that the BondTAC 1500 film fell into a Class A category, which in essence means that it is not a product which will burn in a structural fire where there is wind or air circulation and propagate flame or generate sufficient smoke to cause obscuration for any people inside the structure. Here are the graphs that were generated. The first graph, red oak calibration as the standard. As you can see, it began burning almost instantly as a result of the jet flames, and the flame spread continued for the full 20-foot length coated area. The red line is the BondTAC 1500. You can see that in the first minute nothing happened at all. Then the flame spread was very negligible, particularly in the first 4 feet where the fire jets were targeted at the BondTAC surface. We have a slight peak over here, and I'll explain that later. And then, as you can see, as time progressed to the 10-minute testing, over the 10-minute testing period, that in fact there was no flame spread at all or flame propagation of the BondTAC 1500. The next chart over here is the smoke obscuration measured by a photoelectric eye. As you can see, there was no smoke generated whatsoever. And then we have this peak, very short peak, okay, and then it tapers down again pretty much to zero smoke obscuration. We can explain this peak. BondTAC Eco 1500 or BondTAC Top Coat or any of the BondTAC products will not react with oxygen. So one would not expect that they would ignite and burn. However, at excessively high temperatures, the BondTAC products will undergo what is known as thermal degradation. That does not imply that it burns. What it means is that the polymer chains begin to break as a result of the high temperatures, excessively high temperatures, and the BondTAC undergoes a thermal degradation which forms a little bit of ash in the process. So no fire, no combustion, and no flame propagation, just the BondTAC degrading at excessively high temperature and undergoing a thermal degradation product. So you see a little exothermic action over here with the release of energy, but no flame generated whatsoever. We will now have a look at some other ASTM test procedures we conducted, which are very important in the waterproofing arena. We have here a report by a certified testing facility, Geotech Laboratories, wherein they tested the BondTAC 1500 for water vapor transmission of waterproof elastomeric adhesive membrane. The test procedure is ASTM E96 slash E96 M-05 section 9 and 10 and ASTM E96 slash E96 M-05 water method. The BondTAC coating was cured at standard conditions for 48 hours. We have the test results over here on water vapor transmission of the BondTAC, and the result we received, grams per meter squared per hour, no vapor transmission detected. We also had Geotech Laboratories perform another test procedure, which is important with respect to water infiltration through waterproofing membrane under hydrostatic pressure. You might find that in basements as well as foundation walls, as well as in other applications, shower stalls, flooded areas, inadvertently flooded, and so on. What type of hydrostatic pressure, water pressure, will the BondTAC membranes withstand? So the test procedure conducted was under ASTM C1306-08, Section 8, and also ASTM 1306-08, Section 9, and the two tests were performed. One is rapid, ASTM C1306-08, Section 10.2, and that test is where a water pressure of 0.31 megapascals is applied instantly. That equates to 45 psi. The test results we received by that instant rapid application demonstrated that with the maximum pressure of 0.31 megapascals, equating to 45 psi, the test report indicates no leakage was observed. We had a long-term test performed as well, which is a week, where the water pressure begins at 0.25 megapascals and is increased gradually over a period of a week to 0.31 megapascals, which equates to 45 psi. And we look at each step of the pressure application. The observation was no leakage was observed. Second stage, no leakage was observed. Third stage, no leakage was observed. Fourth stage, after 1 week at 45 psi, 0.31 megapascals, no leakage was observed. So there would be no transmission or no infiltration of water even at a 45 psi. We don't know what the maximum pressure that the BondTAC membrane can withstand because the test procedure only goes up to 45 psi. No leakage was observed, so it may be 50 psi, 55, 60. We don't know because the test procedure cuts off at 45 psi or 0.31 megapascals.